In today's video, I'm reviewing British Airways' international business class called Club World on a flight from London to Philadelphia. I'll be on the Airbus A350, which features the new business class product called Club Suites. I've tried to review this product before, but I got equipment swapped to the old coffin interior. Those of you who saw that review may logically conclude that when it comes to flying British Airways again, my reaction would be,
No, I don't think I will.
But this flight series is all about redemption, so I'm giving British Airways another shot. And to jump to the conclusion, I really had a fantastic flight, and I think British Airways Club Suites are a great way of crossing the Atlantic. It of course wouldn't be a travelogue video if I didn't have some pretty strong criticism of the airline though. Still, I promise I'm not just gonna rant about British Airways at the camera for over 20 minutes. So let's get to this review of British Airways Club World on the A350. I'll start with a disclaimer. I'm really going to focus as much as I can on the flight itself, which was great, not the airline. I've made my thoughts abundantly clear on that already. Yes, they still charge hundreds of dollars just to select a seat in business class. £110? Are you out of your mind? Yes, the fuel surcharges are obscene. They even threaten to ban your frequent flyer account if you say anything negative about them on social media. I covered all of that in my last video, so I'll leave it there, but I do not forgive and I do not forget. This time, I was able to select my seat for free as I have American Platinum status, which translates to One World Sapphire.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
After 2 hours of walking around London, I hopped on the Heathrow Express and headed back to Heathrow Terminal 5. I booked this routing very deliberately in order to ensure that I got the club suites rather than the coffin seats. While I live in Chicago, I'm intentionally connecting in Philadelphia, as all of the A350s have the new seats, while some of the flights serving Chicago do not. I paid 57,500 American Airlines miles and $560 in taxes and fees to fly from Nice to London to Philly to Chicago. While that's a good price in miles, the taxes and fees are rough. I talked about tricks to avoid the UK passenger duty tax before, but the fuel surcharges BA charges really get you. So hey, it would mean a lot for a like and a subscribe. I gotta pay those British Airways fees somehow. I had my boarding pass from my flight the night before, so I headed to security. My business class ticket came with fast track security. You'd think that fast track security would be faster.
So that was a f***ing lie.
Fast track security ended up being much slower than regular security. While I didn't, a lot of people switched to regular, which I should have. Heathrow sells fast track as an add-on, so it's frustrating that it was actually much slower. British Airways lounges can get overcrowded, so I loved the new digital sign showing how crowded each lounge was. For old time's sake, I returned back to the South Lounge and sat in the same spot. While the space is the same, there's been some changes since I was last here. Gone are the QR codes and delivered plates, as the buffet has made a return. Feeling like changing things up this time, I switched from Johnny Walker Black to a Talisker single malt. While the gate was not posted on the monitors, the lounge staff told me the gate number, and that it was a coach gate. That's British English for a goddamn bus. Boarding was incredibly disorganized, with everyone trying to board all at once, not realizing that there were separate zones and being turned away. There wasn't room for a separate line. Sorry, queue. We boarded the bus, and I swore we drove halfway back to London before arriving at the aircraft. This is the A350-1000, the largest of the A350s, and damn, she looks pretty. And I never get over how ginormous the engines are. We boarded by a set of stairs, and I turned left into the main business class cabin. There's a whopping 56 business class seats, 42 up front, and 12 in a smaller mini cabin. There's no first class on this aircraft. The aisle felt, a bit sterile. I think it was the flooring material. This is the Collins Aerospace Super Diamond, a fairly common and popular business class seat. You'll find it on Air Canada, American, Etihad, Fiji, and Qatar. British Airways took this common seat and added a door. That's it. Since I covered this goddamn seat so many times before, I'll be quick. We've got a large folding tray, multiple storage compartments with headphones, remote, USB, and full power, seat controls, and a small storage compartment with a mirror. I also noticed these compartments were all scratched. Not just at my seat, but nearly every seat. No idea what caused this, but it's sad to see such wear already on such a new product. The new suites they just unveiled have gone for a mesh. The footwell is on the narrow side, but was fine, and there's a small storage container down there. Sadly, British Airways didn't install individual air nozzles. The doors were locked on the ground, so I'll cover them a bit later. Bedding at the seat was from the White Company and was very comfortable. There was a pillow, mattress pad, and both a heavy and light blanket. The amenity kit, also with products from the White Company, had what you'd expect, with socks, an eye shade, toothbrush, earplugs, and balms. I was offered water or champagne, and a post-takeoff drink order was taken. Curiously, they didn't take the meal orders on the ground. Boarding was complete 9 minutes late, and we departed from Heathrow a bit late, but the pilot said that we'd make it up. British Airways finally has a new safety video paying homage to British television series.
Anne, I must confess a sentiment of the most tender nature.
Welcome, everyone. We will now demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft.
If you're sitting in one of our first or Club World seats with a shoulder strap, you must ensure this is also attached for takeoff and landing.
Your life jacket is underneath or beside your seat.
Is it a winged creature of the air?
Or perchance a celestial contrivance navigating the skies?
No, man. That's a British Airways A350.
It was pretty fun, but hot take, I'm seemingly the only Yankee without a British TV obsession, even though I did live there at one point. Flying time to Philadelphia was 6 hours and 59 minutes at 38,000 feet. The in-flight entertainment was great, and a night and day upgrade over the old coffin seats. The system was responsive, the selection quite extensive, and the resolution was very sharp. Sadly, there's no tail camera. The headphones were also pretty cheaply made and uncomfortable. Wi-Fi is not free for business class and is pretty expensive. I don't need to remind folks that free Wi-Fi, especially in business class, is quickly becoming the expected norm. I received my drink and meal orders were taken, so let's talk food. British Airways' catering is from Doe & Co, so it should be excellent, but British Airways of course found a way to mess things up. There was a choice of 3 mains, beef, fish, or pasta. Gone are the signature British dishes. I guess it's all British now? My flight departed at 1:10 p.m. and I'm glad it did. See, when I took this flight, British Airways had implemented a new enhancement to their meal offerings, where if you had a late night flight after 9 p.m., you wouldn't get a full meal. And more infuriatingly, any flight that took off before 11:29 a.m. was catered with breakfast, not lunch. So imagine you had a long-haul flight that leaves at 11 a.m. Food isn't served for another hour or two, and then you get a grainy omelet or some waffles. Why? Well, British Airways said this was due to customer feedback, because of course they did. It was to cut costs, as catering less food on flights after 9 p.m. or breakfast instead of lunch saves money. Since taking this flight, British Airways has reversed course and reinstated real meals again, but this is not okay and deserves to be criticized. Meal service started but was immediately halted due to turbulence over Ireland.
We therefore will be suspending our service until it's safe to resume so. Having crew, please take your seats.
Service began with a hot towel, our drinks, and some rosemary nuts. There were 3 starters, smoked salmon with avocado, burrata, and celery soup. It was all pretty good and plated very elegantly. It was served with some delightful warm bread. With all the entrees, there was a side of vegetables and romesco sauce, and I went for the pasta. It's hard for airplane pasta that isn't ravioli to avoid getting gloopy, and it did stick together a bit, but it was alright. Not the best pasta ever, but pretty good for plain pasta, though other airlines often add more sauce to keep things better lubricated. For dessert, there was a chocolate praline bar, which was fantastic. I'd had a busy morning bopping around London, so I reclined the bed and tried to get some rest. The mattress pad didn't quite fit the seat, or I was doing it wrong, but the bedding was quite comfortable. For extra privacy, I then slid the door closed. It's not as tall as the doors on Starlux, so laying down you still can see people and thus they can see you. And since there's no social area or bar to hang out in, two gentlemen decided to have an hours-long business meeting in one of their seats, talking quite loudly. An hour 20 prior to landing, the final meal was served. There was a salad and a choice of sandwich served with a muffin. Like on my last British Airways Club World flight, I was still just so stuffed that I only had some tea. The lavatory was clean and had some basic products again from the White Company, but no decor such as a flower or a fun wall painting like on KLM. With that, we began our descent into Philadelphia. So British Airways Club World Suites on the A350. As much as I was prepared to hate on British Airways yet again, I must confess, I really enjoyed the flight. A solid seat, pretty good food, and great entertainment and bedding. With free Wi-Fi, a tail camera, and individual air nozzles, it could be truly great. But you still need to be careful when booking, as plenty of planes still have the coffin seats. Initially announced back in 2019, the refits were supposed to be all done by 2025. Now it's looking like well into 2026 at this point. That's pretty embarrassing, and on the level of United Polaris's rollout, though nothing holds a candle to Lufthansa, who announced their new business class all the way back in 2017, and it's currently on so few planes it now effectively still doesn't exist. I must caveat that while I really did enjoy this flight, you may not. I arranged for my mom to fly the Club World Suites on the 777, and she was less of a fan. The food wasn't great out of Washington, D.C., the service and seat was acceptable but not great, and she said she preferred United Polaris. Oof, that's cold. We'll see if I'm able to fly with her in the future to get some real-time second opinions. So that's a wrap on a nice redemption, and thanks for watching to the end. Who redeemed themselves in this series? Metra proved a great way of getting to the airport. I was pleasantly surprised with Azores Airlines. The Heathrow Express actually can work for you, and British Airways redeemed themselves in my eyes. As for those who didn't, KLM is as disappointing as before, TAP Air Portugal remains not so great, and Alitalia, ITA Airways, lost my bag. And EasyJet is EasyJet, a perfectly fine low-cost carrier. Next time off to Canada, and speaking of second opinions, this trip will introduce someone who might become a recurring contributor. We shall see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for First Class on American Eagle's Embraer 175.